This is Matthew Cratter from Trady University, and today I want to talk about a banker or bankster who doesn't like Bitcoin for some reason, as we're going to see. The banker is Jamie Dimon, chairman and CEO of JP Morgan, where he's been since 2005, and he's also been on the board of directors of the Federal Reserve. So we already know what kind of person he is from that. This term bankster is a combination of banker and gangster, if you haven't heard this before. And it was a term that was popularized by Murray Rothbard. So in the latest news, Jamie Dimon has called Bitcoin and crypto in general, he doesn't seem to be able to distinguish between the two. He's called them dangerous, decentralized Ponzi schemes. This was in his testimony to Congress the other day. He said, "I'm a major skeptic of crypto tokens, which you call currency." He doesn't even want to call them cryptocurrencies, like Bitcoin, for example. They're decentralized Ponzi schemes, and the notion that it's good for anybody is unbelievable. He went on to say that the unregulated crypto marketplace makes it easier for criminals to engage in illicit activity, such as money laundering, theft, and sex trafficking. It is dangerous, he said. Now, I, for one, take Jamie Dimon's word when he says he's worried about money laundering, theft, and sex trafficking, because he works for a company and runs a company that does all these things very well. In fact, better than most. JP Morgan had Jeffrey Epstein, the notorious sex trafficker, as a client. JP Morgan has been involved in a lot of money laundering over the years. Here's an example, using Nigerian money transfers, which you'd imagine they'd be too sophisticated to fall for, but they decide to go along with it anyway, just for the fees involved. Here is the government lawsuit against JP Morgan, in which JP Morgan agreed to pay $920 million for market manipulation of precious metals. Of course, these people hate gold and precious metals, as well as manipulation of the U.S. Treasuries market. And it's really unbelievable. Dimon has only been CEO since 2005, but since 2000, JP Morgan has paid $36 billion in penalties. Now, this is really just the cost of doing business for them. And this doesn't even include the $12 billion bailout that they received from the government back in 2008 to help them buy Bear Stearns when Bear Stearns blew up. If you're finding this video helpful so far, I just ask you to hit that like button and hit that subscribe button, especially if you're not already subscribed. So what is a Ponzi scheme? Is Bitcoin actually a Ponzi scheme? Ponzi scheme always has a central person or a centralized group running it. And what they do is they take money from new investors and use it usually to pay a yield or an interest rate to older investors or previous investors. And this is how the Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme worked, where he offered this very fixed return of something like 10 or 12% per year. And the other characteristic of Ponzi schemes, they offer overly consistent returns and low volatility. So we can see, while some cryptocurrencies, in fact, most cryptocurrencies that are issued by centralized issuers are probably some form of Ponzi schemes. Bitcoin certainly is not, because of its decentralized nature. There's no founder there. It disappeared. It's very difficult to change the code. There's really no one in charge with Bitcoin. And it also fails the other characteristic of Ponzi schemes. No one is going to argue that Bitcoin is low volatility and offers consistent returns. In fact, it's all over the place. But it's certainly not, I'm not sure you can even have a decentralized Ponzi scheme. It doesn't even make sense to me. It's like a word salad. If you want to dig a little bit deeper into Ponzi schemes and Bitcoin and pyramid schemes and the differences, I'll refer you to this video, which I'll link to in the description notes below. And if you're trying to find the description notes, YouTube has sort of changed it. You can click down here where it says more, and that will expand it. So you can do that for this video. The great irony of JP Morgan pointing the finger at Ponzi schemes, or pretending to point the finger at Ponzi schemes, is that they have a long history of participating in Ponzi schemes. And I'll link to all of these articles below. JP Morgan to pay $4.6 million to settle Ponzi scheme lawsuit. It turns out JP Morgan was actually involved in the Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme. So here's something from the United States Attorney's Office, the Southern District of New York, suing JP Morgan for their involvement in an actual Ponzi scheme, one of the biggest Ponzi schemes in American history. So this really shows the gall and the lack of self-awareness that these banksters like Jamie Dimon have. Because when they accuse you of something, you know that they are really pointing back at themselves. It's perhaps a very bizarre psychological thing that's going on. But it gets even worse because Jamie Dimon really is just another two-faced bankster talking out of both sides of his mouth. So while he's talking to Congress, he's bad-mouthing Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, but it turns out that JP Morgan offers crypto exposure to clients in the form of Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, even the Grayscale Bitcoin Cash Trust, Ethereum Classic Trust, and Ethereum Classic products. So the way this works is basically JP Morgan and Jamie Dimon are okay with Bitcoin and crypto as long as they can get in on the fee action. And the way this would work is, for example, the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust charges a 2% management fee. And I'm sure that JP Morgan, when it offers it to its clients through its financial advisors, gets a kickback from that fee. So Jamie Dimon's okay with Bitcoin and crypto as long as they can get in on the fee action. But it's even worse, and it's bizarre. It's almost as if Jamie Dimon is already senile because he's talking out of both sides of his mouth. Here's an article just from April in which he said that decentralized finance and blockchain are real. Here's the actual quote: "Decentralized finance and blockchain are real new technologies that can be deployed in both public and private fashion, permissioned or not," Dimon said, before adding that JP Morgan is at the forefront of these innovations. Of course, when you think innovation, you think a large, stupid American bank. He says, Jamie Dimon goes on to say, "We use a blockchain network called Link, with 2 I's, what a great name, to enable banks to share complex information. And we also use a blockchain to move tokenized US dollar deposits with JP Morgan coin." What do you know? So crypto's okay as long as it's a stable coin issued by JP Morgan. They have a whole platform for this, in fact, and they may be issuing more tokens. And of course, their tokens will be okay because they're JP Morgan tokens. This is called Onyx. You can see the upper left-hand corner here. That's owned by JP Morgan. And they say on the homepage here, digital solutions enabling instant transfer and clearing of multi-bank, multi-currency assets on a permission distributed ledger. And of course, this is a permissioned ledger, so it is different from Bitcoin. Bitcoin is permissionless. Anyone can interact with the protocol. So I think I can pretty much summarize Jamie Dimon's message as this. And this is Jamie Dimon speaking, not me speaking. Blockchain and tokens are fine as long as we are the ones issuing it or charging a fee on it, as long as JP Morgan is doing that. If we cannot control it directly, it's a bad thing because it threatens our franchise. There's one other small thing to notice, which I want to end on, which I think is pretty funny. Even with all the bankster power and the backing of the Federal Reserve that JP Morgan has, Bitcoin, even after Bitcoin crashing, is still worth more than JP Morgan. So JP Morgan's market cap is $326 billion, and as I'm recording this, Bitcoin's market cap is $362 billion. Again, JP Morgan is just a single bank, but this is quite ironic that what Jamie Dimon is going against. And if you add up the whole cryptocurrency space, you obviously get to much higher numbers than $362 billion. But really, Bitcoin is the only game in town, and even Bitcoin has a larger market cap than JP Morgan. The good news is that these dinosaurs are not going to be with us forever. And the reason they have to keep talking about Bitcoin is that Bitcoin is a real threat to them. Here we have Warren Buffett, the dinosaur, calling Bitcoin rat poison squared. Here we have Charlie Munger, the dinosaur, calling Bitcoin a venereal disease. And here we have the comet headed for all of these cantillionaires, these banksters, and these central bankers. And I can't wait for the day when Bitcoin really completely takes over the system and we move to a Bitcoin standard. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, hit that notification bell if you want to be notified when I publish my next video, and let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.